Welcome to What You Really Want to Know. I am attorney Amanda Shaffer. Today I'm going to answer the question how to use photographs to prove to immigration that you have a real marriage. Before I get to all of that, quick reminder to like us and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, so you don't miss any of our videos. And if you find this video to be helpful or know someone who may, please go ahead and click that share button. So today we're talking about photographs. If you've watched any of my videos where I talk about marriage cases and evidence that we use in marriage cases, you may know that I'm not a big fan of photographs. So why am I talking about it today? Well, I'll get to that in a second. Let me explain first why I'm not a fan. So there's all sorts of evidence you can submit to prove you have a real marriage. And of course, some evidence does more for you than other evidence. And that's because USCIS gives different weight to different types of evidence. So at the top of your list, you have like a birth certificate for a child of the marriage, a joint lease, joint taxes, all those joint finances. You go down the list at the very bottom, you got your affidavits from family and friends. Why? Because if you ask your mom to write a letter or sign a letter that says you have a real marriage, even if she has her doubts, she's going to sign that letter. She's your mom. Same goes with a friend. USCIS knows this. So there are ways, and I'll do another video about affidavits on how to make them more helpful. And then for videos, they unfortunately don't accept videos. Not entirely sure why, well, other than they don't have a way to play them. But for photographs, it's the same type of thing. I actually put them at the very bottom of the list because at least with the affidavits, you're getting someone to swear under penalty of perjury. But with photographs, I bet you if you look in your phone right now or on your social media, you can find at least one photo where you are with a person who is not your spouse or partner. And that is because you don't need to be married to take photographs. You don't need to like someone to take a photograph with them. So photographs are not always the best use of evidence. However, some of you out there may be thinking, well, I don't have some of these joint finances you're talking about. And this is the case for a lot of our clients. It may be because you don't have a social security number and you're unable to get on a lease or a bank account, and you don't work, so you don't file taxes. Everybody has a different situation, but there's certainly those of you out there who can really use these photographs. But if you just take a stack of photos and hand them to the USCIS officer or mail them in, then they're probably not going to do too much for you without any context. Now, I do want to make a quick side note that if you are planning on submitting photographs, you're still going to want to bring an album of photographs to the interview if you have one. Make sure you know the people in all the photographs and be prepared to part with some of these photographs. What USCIS likes to do, and this is even in the event you submit other photographs, is they kind of go through the album and then they pull out some pictures and then they keep them. So be prepared to part. Make sure you know everything in there, but also you don't want to just wait to the interview to submit your evidence, especially photographs, because even if sometimes they do, I've seen them ask, like, who's in this picture? What's happening here? When was it taken? You might get caught off guard. If you have 100 pictures, you might not remember. And you can use photographs to really help you if done correctly. You may have heard the saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Not all pictures in this context. Some pictures are pretty useless because they might just show you and your spouse sitting on a couch. Well, I mean, I'll call that date night. But, anyone, again, I'm sure you've sat on a couch with a friend. So what can we do to help us make our photographs work for us? We want to use the photographs to tell a story of our relationship. And that's when the pictures are really worth their weight in gold. I happened to have a client come in last week, and I always tell clients, look, photographs, I give them the same spiel. Photographs are least important. I don't want you focused on that. I don't want more than 10 photographs. Give me 4 from your wedding, some like 2 with you and your spouse only, and then 2 with you and your spouse with a couple different family members. And then your other photographs, again, a couple of you and your spouse, a couple with other people. I'm going to go in a second to more detail about the types of photographs. So this client came in and she gives me, and I've had this happen before. She brings in, if you can see my hands here, there we go, about this many photographs. And I was just like, big sigh. And I always say, all right, don't get offended, but I'm about to just go through these and I'm going to pull out the ones that help. So I'll sit there with the client and I'll say, okay, what's this? What's this photograph? What's this photograph? Who's in this one? What are you doing? When was it? Because you want to make sure that you're looking for certain things in the photographs. And then it turned out that unlike a lot of people who bring me stacks of photos, they had a lot of useful photos. And in fact, I was able to do it in a way where I actually have 16 pages of photos. And there's either 2 or 3 on each page, which is a lot of photographs, but you're about to see why. So I'm going to show you what I did and explain it all. And everything's redacted. So let's add this to the stream now. Okay, so what you see here is what's the first thing you're going to see, it's just very clear, is that I did not, I first thing you're going to see is clear, and I forgot my train of thought. That's what happens when I do these lives early, right? So the first thing here you're going to see on the top, I clearly have described the photographs. Okay. You see what it is, where it is, the date. You don't have to have the exact date, month and year works. You're even going to see in some places, actually on the bottom one, I forgot to put the date here. I'll have to write that in or reprint it and, restaple it. But most likely it's not the end of the world if you miss something and you write it in. But what you could see here is that everything is explained, right? This is their engagement shoot in Hawaii. When you can do things in date order and chronological order, that's always better. It's not always possible. And you'll see I tried to do that here, but what I really found with this client that I liked was that I was able to split these photos into categories. And that's because they fit into all the different categories that I tell people. So the main types of categories I tell people to provide include anything, obviously pre-wedding, some wedding photos, your vacation photos, your holiday photos, special events, things like that. And this client really did check all the boxes. So, and I also wanted to show how there isn't really one right way to configure these photos as long as they're there and the context is there. And then you're going to want to, again, span period of time of your relationship. So I don't need 8 photos from March 2023. What I want to see is photos. Let's say you got married. The photos can start before you got married, of course, and they probably should. But from the time around when your relationship started to the present. So here we just have pre-wedding photos, bachelorette party, welcome dinner. As you can see, you can't see their faces, obviously, but clearly the people on the left are not, at least some of them, are not the same people on the right. You got grandma in the middle here. I've never met this lady. She probably has no idea who I am, but she seems amazing. Anyway, so let's go to the next one here. Now we're into the wedding photos. So like I said, wedding photos can, everyone submits wedding photos pretty much. Even if you just have a city hall wedding, it's okay. you should definitely still take pictures. It's an important day regardless. So what you're going to see here is that this was actually, I didn't write this specifically. Here they're cutting the cake. I actually was joking with my client about how many different dresses she had. And that's something important too, because it shows that there's, spending money on a wedding is not the most important thing. I want to make that clear. You are not going to be penalized for not having a fancy wedding. But if you do spend money on a wedding, we definitely want to make that clear, because it does go to the bona fide of marriage. This picture I think you can see my mouse. I guess I'll annotate, or I can't annotate here. I'll verbally say it as I talk about it. So the picture on the bottom left is actually they had a photo booth. And then clearly, they're in different locations. So this might have been the ceremony, and then the reception is on this building, whatever. But these are all really nice photos that they're getting married, a kiss, photo booth, cake cutting, all different things. Got a little bit more photos. Now we're getting into some of the photos with family and friends. Again, you could see that there's different people here. And if in wedding photos, it's usually clear who the bride and the groom are, so who the petitioner and the beneficiary are. But if it's not clear, what you can also do is draw in arrows and say petitioner, beneficiary, whatever it is. In this picture, you on the bottom left here, you can't really see their faces, of course, but they actually have huge smiles on their face because somebody's giving a speech. And it's like you could tell that the person giving the speech, based on their genuine reactions, which I love candid photos. Candid photos are great. People don't always give them to me, or don't always think to give them to me. But this photo was clear that the person giving the speech really knew them well. And I thought that it was a fantastic picture. So another thing, I do always ask people who are in the photos. Part of the reason I do is to make sure we're not repeating the same people over and over and over. But the other reason is to make sure that the client knows who is in the photo. And sometimes I even will write who's in the photo. It kind of depends on the situation. There's no right or wrong there. You don't have to list it. Sometimes I just say, if I want to make it clear that you're with the petitioner's family in one photo and the beneficiary's family in another photo, I might just use generic terms like petitioner's mom, petitioner's dad, something like that. The reason that I'll do it in some circumstances is when more context than normal is needed, to make, if they don't have that many good pictures, for example, I'll want to show that the pictures we're submitting really do span different aspects of their relationship. So now we get into, this is actually on the left, what they sent out for, I don't remember if it was a save the date or the actual wedding invitation. Wedding invitations are great evidence. Not necessarily a photograph, but I've had people also give me invoices for their wedding dress or for the reception. Those are all good things. They'll show that, you spent time. This was important to you. You spent time planning it. You invited people, etc. And on the right here, this photo is here. It had writing on it, so I didn't want to put it separately. I didn't want to put it with that. I do have a group of holiday photos because it looks like this is the New Year countdown. So that, like I said, sometimes it's out of order, or not with chronological order, or not in the same category, and that's okay. Now we get to vacation photos. These are always great. Vacation photos can also be supplemented with proof you went on the vacation. When do I want the proof you went on vacation? I want that proof when you can't tell where the photos were taken. So in these two photos, one thing that we could tell on the photo on the left is that doesn't look like New York. The photo on the right doesn't look like New York, but it's definitely not New York City. We could say that. So we know they definitely went outside the city, but this is Oregon on the left, and on the right is Colorado. And you can see that, yes, they're both in the summer of 2020. We couldn't remember the exact month here. Not a big deal. We just call it summer 2020, July 2020. Now here is more, we have some more vacation photos, and vacation photos are great. Some people are not lucky enough to go on a lot of vacations, especially in the early stages of their marriage when they're waiting for the green card and work permit and things like that. But if you do go, they're fantastic photos. So, and this is what I'm talking about with being able to tell where someone is. If you recognize the tree in the left photo, that is I believe that's the Joshua tree. Don't quote me on that. I'm like 99% sure that it is. What I do know is that it's a famous tree, and that tree is not in New York City. So saying they're in the Sequoia National Park in California, you could tell because they took a picture in front of this tree. Now on the right, you see a lighthouse, and they're in Maine. There are lighthouses in other states and countries for that matter. Even New York City has lighthouses. It's clear, though, that they were biking. They're wearing their bike gear. So they did a biking trip together. So I like that. It shows they do activities together. But also, you're probably not going to have too much doubt that this is in Maine. And again, looking at the dates, we're still in 2020, end of summer, but we're not repeating the same months over and over. Again, we got some more vacation photos here. So the reason I put in September 2020, if you're like, hey, Amanda, you just said don't put in the same dates, and then you did. Well, look at the bottom here, Yellowstone National Park. Fantastic picture. Not only is it a group photo showing that they went on a group trip together, and this might be one where I might, while I'm doing my final review, look back and say, let me add in some arrows to point out where both of these two people are. But it's a landmark. It's a sign. Yellowstone National Park. There's no doubt they're in Yellowstone National Park. I've had clients when they go to different cities or different states go in front of the welcome sign. For some reason, welcome to Atlanta is in my head. I believe I've seen that sign, some people in front of that sign before. So if you're going to go on vacation and take pictures, you want to take pictures in front of landmarks. The top two pictures here, they show two different scenes, but is this an airport on the right? It could be. Is this in Venice Beach, California? It could be. It could also be in Queens, for all somebody knows. I 100% believe my clients, but my point is you want to be very careful about which photos you choose. And these are great photos because they're traveling and everything. The photo on the bottom is the best one, in my opinion, even though it's not just the two of them. But the point is, you don't always have to have a landmark in every photo. You have one here, lends more credibility to the other ones. I think this might be the last vacation photos. They went on a lot of vacations. And this can also, by the way, when vacation photos can be supplemented by other proof of travel. So let's say, in these photos, you got the Oscar Wienermeyer mobile, and then you got what's in the background on both pictures. That looks like a desert. We don't have deserts here in New York City. So in all likelihood, they're probably actually at the desert. But what else, if you couldn't tell let's go back one real quick. The one on the left, for example, where there could be any ocean anywhere. Well, what you can do is give me your flight receipt, or your boarding pass, or your reservations for hotel or car rental, something along those lines. And it's not necessary. It's more necessary when you can't tell where the people actually are from the photograph. So this Yellowstone National Park photo is sort of like if you go to Washington, D.C., and I say landmarks, don't take a picture at a random park and say, oh, we visited D.C. Go to the Lincoln Memorial, go to the, what is it called? The long thing with the point on top. My brain is not 100% working right yet. Lincoln Memorial, White House, any of those things. You want to get pictures in front of things that if I look at, I'm going to automatically know, okay, this is a landmark from this city. And there are very famous landmarks in many different cities across the country and the globe, for that matter, that you're going to be able to show that. So now we get into our next category of photos. As I said, I generally do chronological order. I made an exception here because these photos fit into these categories very nicely. One other thing I want to point out as I go along, you'll see that the pictures are in different, actually some of them even have 4, but they're in different templates. I don't have to put them all side by side like this or up, on top or bottom. I just have to make sure if there's multiple pictures and they're not the same event or the same thing, that I explain separately what they are and make it clear which photo is which. So that's why going back again, oh, well, we'll go to the next one. I think it'll be there. So here we have Halloween, celebrating Halloween. Here they're with a group of friends. Here they're alone. If this picture, when I scan them, for some reason, they didn't come out as clear, but you actually can see that, I think this right here, the same 2 people, the petitioner beneficiary, are wearing different outfits because they went out 2 nights that last Halloween. Looked like a fun Halloween. Okay, now we get to Thanksgiving dinner with her family. So we have one picture of the couple with only 2 family members. I would have not been adverse to having the photo with just the couple here, because down here we have everybody. So clearly a nice big family Thanksgiving. And this was actually at the couple's home. They catered, they cooked a little. And so it looks very nice. It looks like a very nice event. And what I liked about these holiday photos, holidays are really important. Who do you normally celebrate your holidays with? Your family and your friends, your close friends. And almost every marriage interview, a question about a holiday comes up, whether it be, what's the last holiday you celebrated together? What did you do last Christmas or last New Year's? Things like that. So when an officer sees something like this, they say, well, that's nice that they're all celebrating together. Here we have 3 different photographs. Again, like I said, another configuration. What I liked about this is that we have 2 people that have completely different backgrounds. We have someone who's from China and who celebrates Christmas, and we have someone who is Jewish. And we see here a little compilation of them celebrating each other's holidays. Here's the Chinese New Year. Here's Santa. I didn't redact Santa's face because I think we all know what Santa looks like. And down here we have Yom Kippur at Grandma's Country Club. So it is great to show that you are participating in activities that that is important to your spouse, or is something that is related to your spouse's identity. Birthday celebrations, another fantastic group of photographs that you could submit to help prove that your marriage is real. Now, what I normally do, again, chronological order, but I found something interesting with these photographs with this couple, that they were giving me birthdays that they were celebrating for multiple years. So I decided to group the birthdays by person instead of just go by year. So as you could see here, we're celebrating beneficiary's birthday in every photo. We have May 2001, May 2022 and May 2023. They went to different restaurants, and you can see in the bottom picture is actually the petitioner's mom celebrating as well with them. So I like this because it showed every year they're celebrating the birthdays together. Here's the petitioner's birthday celebrations. If you're saying and wondering why they kind of look the same, and if you actually look up here, it has the same restaurant name. 2 different years, though. I was told that the petitioner this is his favorite restaurant. So he likes to go here every year for his birthday, where this beneficiary likes to go different places. And what's important is that you note certain things like that because it does look similar. And I can actually tell you that when you look at the real pictures, the petitioner wears the same shirt. Beneficiary does not. I think he just likes the shirt, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know them well enough for that, but and that's okay. But I do look for that. I do look to see if people are wearing the same clothes, because I've had clients try to tell me things were from different dates, and I'm like, yeah, okay, but you're wearing the same thing. It's possible you wore the same thing, but I double check are you sure this is a different date? And then B, maybe we have another photo where you're wearing something different so that nobody questions it. And then I had the last photo here where they're celebrating other people's birthdays besides themselves, specifically important birthdays. So on top, we have a 40th birthday celebration. That's for a friend. That's a big birthday. And then here we go, my favorite 90-year-old grandma here. Amen, grandma, good for you. Getting to 90, that is awesome. She looks adorable. I know, even with the redaction, she looks adorable, and she looks like she's in great health. And I thought, of course, it's incredibly sweet that the beneficiary, joined the family. It shows she's really part of the family, going to grandma's 90th. Now we go into special event photos. Now, these are specific to friends because I consider other special events, birthdays and holidays, in a separate category. You might have your own special events, but let's say you had a baby shower. That's a fantastic photos to submit. That's going to be separate in like baby shower photos. But here, something very unique that I think this is a first. The couple went together to petitioner's friend's conversion to Judaism. So we have the couple, and you could see what they're clearly in the temple. She's holding up the oh my God, I haven't been in a temple in so long. She's holding up the prayer book, and behind her they have the stained glass that's typical in houses of worship. And then on the bottom is the ceremony after with their friends. So, I mean, the fact the beneficiary came to support petitioner and his friend in such an important moment in that person's life, I thought was a really good thing to show. And what you're seeing as I go through these photos is not only does this span, about 3 years of their relationship of these photos, you're also seeing that they're participating in so many different aspects of each other's lives. And I want to make it clear that you don't have to go to, every couple's different. You don't have to go to every single thing with your spouse in order to have a real marriage. The more time you spend together, the more photos you have of you spending time together doing significant life events, the stronger your case is going to be when it comes to the photographs. But it even if they had and I will say this couple has plenty of financial evidence. I'm not worried about that. But especially when you have less financial evidence, to be able to show that you're actually living your daily life as a couple and you're doing things as a couple really can go a long way for you. So some more special events, and I'm showing these also to give you an idea of what special events are, because a friend's conversion to another religion might not strike you immediately as a photograph to submit to USCIS, but that is a special event. So, and that is an important one. Now we have a baby shower and a fundraising event. What I didn't write down, because I didn't want to make it political, is this was actually a political fundraising campaign for a representative, state representative of Hawaii that's friends with petitioner. I don't think it would have been the worst thing in the world to put, but just in case somebody decided to look up the person and they disagree with their politics, you don't need any negative repercussions. So as you could see, I don't know if it shows you the slide number, but there are 16 of them that I showed you. This is excessive. I partly did it so I can make this video because I thought that these photographs really covered everything that I talk about when I explain to clients what type of photographs we want. And that's why I submitted all of them. But like I said, when you go back and look at all the dates, you look at all the places that they clearly are spending time together as a couple. They're spending time with each other's family, with each other's friends. And again, it doesn't have to be that way for you. You and your spouse may not be able to spend this time together. It might be because of work. It might be because can't afford to go on, fancy vacations or even non-fancy vacations or get the time off of work or whatever the case may be. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to have these other life events that happen. So you want to take the photographs 100%. But then if I just took all those photographs I just showed you, put them in a pile and submitted them, the officer isn't going to know what is going on. It's not going to help. And say, okay, well, a lot of photos of them together. I could take a friend, go to different places around New York City, even landmarks, like go to the Empire State Building, Statue of Liberty, take pictures with that friend. Doesn't mean we're married. It doesn't mean that person's my spouse even. Well, I guess that's the same thing as being married. But point is, without context, the officer's not going to know. And don't assume that they're going to know. You want to make their job as easy as possible. That is the best practice that you can do. So that is all today for what you really want to know. Don't forget to like us and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you are watching. If you found this video to be helpful, and I really hope you did, or you know someone else who may find it helpful, please hit that share button, click that save button, so that you can get this information out there. And if you're filing for your marriage-based green card or any other immigration benefit, YouTube and Facebook, our contact information is one way or another scrolling across the bottom of our screen. Instagram, go to our bio page. You can find it there. Also, direct messages work as well. We'd be more than happy to help you. So that is all for now. Thanks for watching and have a good day.